Most people think their financial problems start with not earning enough. But that's not actually where it begins. Your money problems start long before payday, long before the bills, long before you even open a budgeting app. They start in a place way quieter, way more powerful, and way more dangerous. Awareness. That here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not struggling because of how much you earn. You're struggling because you have no idea where your money actually goes. People think they have an income problem. But what they really have is an invisibility problem. You can't control what you can't see. And right now, most people are financially blind. Imagine trying to clean your house in complete darkness. You'd trip, you'd break things, you'd miss massive messes. That's exactly how most people manage their money. Lights off. No visibility. Just hoping everything magically works out. And guess what it doesn't? Ask anyone how much they earn. They'll tell you instantly. Ask them how much they spent in the last 30 days on food, subscriptions, apps, delivery, impulse buys, and watch their face. They won't know. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they're unaware. The human brain loves autopilot. And spending is the easiest autopilot in the world. You feel something, you buy something. Not intentionally. Automatically. Stress. Buy. Bored. Buy. Celebrating. Buy. Lonely. Buy. Tired. Buy. Money becomes the emotional bandage we never admit we use. And here's the painful part. People don't go broke from one big decision. They go broke from 1,000 tiny ones. A snack here. A subscription there. A delivery meal because you're exhausted. A $3 upgrade because why not? Each one feels harmless. But harmless decisions compound just like money. And this is where the real leak forms. Not in your income but in your patterns. Awareness is the moment you finally stop guessing. It's the moment the fog lifts. It's the moment you see the truth of your spending with no filters, no excuses, no sugarcoating. And once you see your patterns, you can't unsee them. That's why awareness is the most powerful and the most uncomfortable stage of financial transformation, because it forces you to face yourself, your habits, your impulses, your emotional spending, the routine leaks you never questioned. Awareness doesn't judge you. It simply reveals you. This is the shift, the moment people stop saying, "I can't save," and start realizing, "I've been leaking money for years." The moment they stop saying, "I don't earn enough," and start admitting, "I don't track anything." This is the moment you stop being a passenger dragged by your habits and you finally grab the steering wheel. Awareness gives you control. Control gives you clarity. Clarity gives you power. And power creates transformation. But here's the part nobody talks about. Awareness requires honesty. And honesty is hard. People avoid awareness because they're scared of what they'll find. They don't want to face how much they wasted. They don't want to confront their mistakes. They prefer the comfort of not knowing, because pretending feels safer than confronting. But the truth is never the enemy. The truth is the doorway. Once you walk through it, everything starts to align. Your decisions become intentional. Your goals become real. Your stress begins to fade because uncertainty fades with it. Awareness is the foundation of wealth. Not income. Not budgeting apps. Not discipline. Awareness. That if you're still here, it means one thing. You're ready to see the truth. You're ready to understand your patterns. You're ready to take control of what's been controlling you. Because financial freedom doesn't start with earning more. It starts with finally opening your eyes. This is the beginning. This is the shift. Before you can cut your monthly expenses by 30%, before you can save more, before you can fix your money habits, you need one thing. The truth. Not the truth you think you know. Not the truth you wish was real. The truth that shows up on your bank statement. And that's where the 7-day money audit comes in, the most powerful, most uncomfortable, and most eye-opening financial exercise you will ever experience. For 7 days, you're not budgeting. You're not planning. You're not trying to save a single rupee. You're doing something far more important. You're finally seeing your real financial life without filters. The first day hits the hardest. Because for the first time, you're writing down every single purchase you make. The coffee you didn't think counted, the snack you bought just because, the delivery meal because you were tired. The online purchase from last night's boredom, the subscription you forgot you were paying for, every swipe of the card, every tap of. By now, every little spend you never thought mattered, it all shows up in black and white. And suddenly that tiny morning coffee isn't tiny anymore. That 199 Indian rupees subscription doesn't feel harmless anymore. That random snack looks suspiciously expensive. Day 1 forces you to confront a truth nobody wants to admit. Your financial life has been happening in the dark, and you never turn the light on. This is the day most people realize, you don't overspend because of big decisions. You overspend because of hundreds of tiny decisions you never noticed. And those tiny decisions, they're silently draining your money every single day. The second day something fascinating happens. You stop seeing your spending as random. You start seeing patterns. You realize you're buying the same things repeatedly: snacks, food deliveries, digital upgrades, online impulse purchases, drinks, convenience items, auto rickshaw rides. Little emotional purchases. Suddenly, your spending is no longer a mystery. You see repetition. You see habits. You see routine behavior. Day 3, the emotional side of money finally reveals itself. This is the day you realize, you don't buy food because you're hungry, you buy it because you're tired. You don't shop online because you need something, you shop because you're stressed. You don't order delivery because it tastes better, you order it because you're unprepared. You don't upgrade things for quality, you upgrade them for dopamine. This is where the audit transforms from tracking into understanding. You see the emotion behind the expense. And that's the breakthrough. Because once you understand the emotion, you can change the behavior. Most people think they have a money problem. But on day 3 you realize the truth: you don't have a money problem. You have a decision problem. Day 4, something clicks. Tracking your spending stops feeling like a burden. It starts feeling like clarity. It starts feeling like power. This is the day you start catching yourself in the moment. You pick something up and think, do I really need this? Is this worth writing down? Is this solving a problem and creating one? This is the shift from unconscious spending to conscious control. You're no longer a passenger. You're the driver. And for the first time in years, you're in control of your money, not the other way around. Day 5, your audit turns into a mirror. You finally start understanding the story your money is telling. Food expenses stacking up, subscriptions you forgot existed, convenience fees you never noticed, small extras that add up to thousands, daily habits costing more than you imagined. You realize something incredibly empowering. You don't need to make more money. You need to stop leaking the money you already make. This is the day fear turns into confidence. Because you finally know what's going on. Not assumptions. Not estimates. Actual truth. And truth is power. Day 6, your financial leaks are impossible to ignore. You see, the extra meals you bought because you didn't plan the transport costs you could have avoided, the random online purchases that brought zero value, the convenience fees silently draining your account, the subscriptions you haven't used in months. Imagine someone handing you a bucket full of holes. Would you pour more water into it? Of course not. But with money we do it every month. Instead of fixing the leaks, we try to earn more. But the 7-day money audit shows you the truth. You can't build wealth if your bucket has holes. And now you finally see every hole clearly. The final day isn't emotional. It isn't shocking. It isn't overwhelming. It's calm. Because for the first time in your life, you are financially awake. You see exactly where your money went, why it went there, how it was spent, what was unnecessary, what was emotional, what must change. This clarity gives you 3 things people spend decades searching for. You're no longer afraid of checking your bank balance. You understand your spending. You understand your habits. You finally have control. You no longer fear statements, numbers, or truth. You replaced guesswork with knowledge. You replaced guilt with strategy. Confidence replaces chaos. Point 3. And now you know exactly what to fix. Where to cut. Where to optimize. Where to adjust. Where the real problem is. Not generic advice. Not budgeting myths. Your personal blueprint. The real purpose of the 7-day audit is not about tracking. It's not about restricting. It's not about saving money. It's about awareness. Awareness of your habits, patterns, emotional triggers, spending routine, invisible leaks, priorities, blind spots. Because once you see your truth, you can finally change your life. This 7-day journey opens a door most people never walk through, the door to clarity, the door to intention, the door to real, lasting financial transformation. And now that you've seen your real spending, most people believe they know where their money goes until they discover the truth. The real leaks never come from the obvious things like rent, bills, or transportation. They come from the tiny decisions that feel harmless, the routines you barely notice, the purchases that blend into your week and disappear without leaving a memory. These hidden expenses are the silent killers of financial progress, quietly eating away your money without ever feeling like a real cost. That's why this part of the process matters more than anything you've done so far. Once you've tracked your spending for a week, you now have visibility. But visibility alone doesn't create change. You need a way to separate necessity from habit, habit from impulse, and impulse from true value. That's where the 3-layer filter comes in, and once you apply it honestly, you will never see your expenses the same way again. This part of the journey is confronting, revealing, and surprisingly freeing, because for the first time, you understand which expenses actually support your life and which are quietly holding you back without providing anything meaningful in return. The first thing you notice when you begin filtering your expenses is how many purchases you made without any intention at all. They weren't planned, they weren't necessary, they didn't even feel memorable. They existed in that space between convenience and boredom, between routine and autopilot. You start to realize that a good percentage of your spending was never a conscious choice. It happened because you didn't stop to decide otherwise. And that realization alone starts shifting the way you evaluate every dollar. As you continue this process, the second type of expense begins to show itself, the ones that made sense at one point in your life but no longer reflect who you are now. Monthly subscriptions, memberships, services, and recurring charges that once felt useful but now just exist in the background, quietly consuming your money every month. You see an old fitness app you haven't used in 4 months. A software subscription you forgot to cancel. A streaming platform you open once every 3 weeks. You didn't keep these because you needed them, you kept them because you never questioned them. This part of the filter acts like a wake-up call. You start to ask yourself what actually supports your current lifestyle and what was simply left behind from an older version of you. And then comes the most uncomfortable layer of all, the expenses disguised as little treats. These are the ones you justify because they feel small. A daily snack here, a quick ride share there, an impulse purchase that costs less than lunch. They're easy to ignore individually, but when you lay them all out together, you finally see the pattern. One coffee isn't the problem. One delivery meal isn't the problem. One late-night purchase isn't the problem. But the repetition of small comforts, repeated over and over, creates a cost that's larger than any major bill you pay. You realize these weren't treats, they were habits in disguise. At this point, something powerful starts to shift inside you. You no longer ask, how do I cut spending? You start asking, what actually adds value to my life? This is where most people get budgeting wrong. They assume saving money is about restriction, sacrifice, or depriving yourself of joy. But when you use this layered filtering method, you discover that saving money is really about removing the spending that gives you nothing in return. You're not cutting out joy, you're cutting out noise. You're removing the things that drain you but don't fuel you. As you analyze your expenses through this deeper lens, patterns begin to emerge. You might notice that certain purchases only happen when you are stressed. Some only show up when you're tired late at night. Others appear on weekends when you're bored. Instead of blaming yourself, you begin to understand yourself. You see the role each expense played. It was emotional relief, convenience, or a way to avoid discomfort. And when you recognize that, the desire for those purchases weakens. Awareness dissolves impulse. Consciousness destroys autopilot. One of the most surprising discoveries in this phase is how many things you pay for simply because they are easy. Ordering food is easier than cooking. Buying something is easier than planning. Subscribing is easier than saying no. Convenience has a cost, and you see it more clearly now than ever before. You start questioning whether convenience is worth the price, and in many cases you realize it isn't. This doesn't mean you eliminate convenience entirely, it means you stop paying for it unconsciously. You choose when it matters and skip it when it doesn't. As the process continues, something unexpected happens. You feel lighter. Not because you're saving money, but because you're gaining clarity. You finally understand what matters to you. You see which expenses align with your goals and which distract you from them. You're no longer spending reactively, you're spending intentionally. And that shift alone creates more financial progress than any budgeting app or money-saving hack ever could. You begin noticing your relationship with money change. Purchases that once felt automatic now require a moment of thought. You pause before checking out. You reflect before tapping your card. Not because you're restricting yourself, but because you're evaluating the true cost, not just the price tag. You ask yourself whether this expense makes your life better or just fills a temporary feeling. And that simple question reshapes your entire financial life. As you remove the financial fat, you start to see possibilities you hadn't noticed before. Extra money appears not in huge dramatic amounts but steadily. You might find $50 here, $120 there, a subscription worth $15 a month, a routine expense worth $80. It adds up faster than you expect. You begin to realize you're not earning too little, you were simply spending without intention. And for the first time, you see the difference between income problems and awareness problems. Most people don't have income problems, they have leakage problems. When you eliminate the leakage, progress becomes automatic. The real transformation happens when you feel the psychological shift. You're no longer running from your finances, you're in control of them. Money stops being a source of anxiety and becomes a system you manage with clarity. Your spending is sharper. Your decisions are cleaner. Your priorities become clearer. And your savings begin to grow even without trying. This 3-layer process isn't about cutting your life down, it's about upgrading it. You keep the purchases that bring you joy. You keep the experiences that matter to you. You keep the things that align with your future. But you eliminate the distractions, the dead weight, and the emotional purchases pretending to be necessities. When you finish filtering your expenses, you feel something you didn't expect. Relief. Not because you saved money, but because your financial life finally makes sense. You see where your money goes, why it goes there, and how to guide it in a better direction. You understand yourself more deeply. You operate more consciously. And financially, you begin moving with intention instead of impulse. This is the moment you realize something profound. The real power in money isn't in how much you earn, it's in how clearly you see every decision you make. And once you see your spending through this lens, nothing goes unnoticed ever again. Most people think improving their lifestyle means spending more money, but the truth is lifestyle upgrades don't come from buying new things, they come from using money in a smarter, more intentional way. When you look around, you'll notice the world keeps pushing you to spend. Ads follow you everywhere. Influencers flex purchases you don't actually need. And slowly, without even noticing, you start believing that the only way to enjoy life is to keep upgrading your lifestyle with every paycheck. But this mindset is why most people stay stuck financially. They chase the feeling of progress instead of actually building it. The lifestyle optimization rule flips that thinking completely. Instead of spending money to upgrade your life, you learn to design a lifestyle that feels upgraded without destroying your budget. You create the experience of living better while still keeping more money in your pocket. And when you understand this rule, you'll notice that most of the enjoyment you want doesn't actually require spending more. It just requires being more strategic. Start by picturing the version of your life that feels better, lighter, smoother, where your days run easily, where your home feels calm, where you have time for yourself, where your money is organized instead of scattered. Most people assume this version is expensive, but the truth is, it's usually the opposite. What makes life stressful and messy is overspending, random purchases, lack of planning, and emotional spending. What makes life peaceful is structure, clarity, and intentional choices. Lifestyle optimization begins with removing lifestyle pressure, the pressure to keep up, the pressure to compare, the pressure to constantly upgrade. When you take away those invisible demands, your spending automatically drops, and what remains are the things you truly enjoy. Think of it this way: every rupee or dollar you spend should give you something real: value, comfort, progress, joy, not just a temporary hit of excitement that disappears in hours. One of the biggest differences between regular people and financially successful people is simple. Successful people design a lifestyle that feels high quality without relying on constant purchasing. They create routines that elevate their daily life, not their expenses. Something as simple as having an organized morning routine, a clean space, a planned weekly schedule, and a clear budget can make your life feel richer than buying a new phone or new shoes. Why? Because quality of life comes from consistency, not consumption. Imagine waking up in a room that feels spacious because you removed the clutter you no longer need. Imagine having a weekly meal plan that gives you delicious, healthy food without takeout bills draining your account. Imagine having entertainment that doesn't cost money every time, like hobbies you genuinely enjoy, walks you actually look forward to, and systems that reduce stress around finances. This is what lifestyle optimization looks like in practice. You remove things that drain you and you add things that grow you. The biggest myth is thinking that lifestyle upgrades must be expensive. But look closely at your life right now. How many things are you paying for that you don't even use? How many purchases were made just because you felt bored, stressed, or pressured? How many expenses repeat themselves every month without adding anything meaningful to your daily experience? Most lifestyles are not expensive because people are living well, they're expensive because people are living unconsciously. The goal is to shift from unconscious spending to intentional design. You're not depriving yourself. You're eliminating the noise so you can upgrade the parts that actually matter. For example, instead of buying new clothes every month, maybe you invest in a few high-quality pieces that last years. Instead of going out for expensive entertainment every weekend, maybe you redesign your space so staying at home feels enjoyable, peaceful, and energizing. Instead of buying coffee from outside daily, maybe you create a home routine that feels even better and saves you money every week. Small daily improvements add up to a lifestyle that feels premium without costing premium prices. And once you understand that, you stop chasing external upgrades and start crafting internal improvements. You begin to notice the difference between pleasure and value. Pleasure is short-lived and expensive. Value is long-lasting and affordable. Most lifestyle mistakes come from chasing pleasure instead of value. Lifestyle optimization also means knowing what truly matters to you personally, not what matters to society or to people around you. You might not need the same lifestyle upgrades others want. Maybe you don't care about buying new gadgets, but you care about having a peaceful living space. Maybe you don't care about fancy restaurants, but you care about having time to work on yourself. Maybe you don't care about designer brands, but you care about traveling once a year. When you understand what genuinely improves your life, you stop wasting money on things that don't. Start creating a list of things that actually make your life better. Not things that impress others, but things that improve your daily experience. Maybe it's having a clean desk. Maybe it's cooking healthier meals. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's upgrading only one part of your life that truly matters, like your workspace, your health, or your savings. When you know your priorities, overspending naturally decreases because you stop buying things that don't align. A powerful part of lifestyle optimization is designing high-return experiences. These are experiences that give you long-lasting happiness even after the moment has passed. Spending time with people you love. Learning something that improves your future. Taking a walk that clears your head. Creating a routine that keeps you consistent. These experiences cost little or nothing, yet they raise your quality of life more than impulsive purchases ever can. The more you shift toward high-return experiences, the less you rely on buying things to feel good. And this is exactly why people who follow the lifestyle optimization rules save more money without feeling restricted. Their lifestyle feels better, yet they're spending less. They aren't sacrificing enjoyment, they're redesigning enjoyment. Another important part of lifestyle optimization is simplifying your environment. Most people don't realize how much stress and financial waste come from clutter. When your home is full of things you don't need, your mind becomes overwhelmed, and overwhelmed people spend impulsively. But when your environment is minimal and organized, you naturally feel more in control, and that control helps you make smarter financial decisions. Once you simplify your environment, you simplify your habits. And that's where the magic happens. You no longer crave constant upgrades because your daily life already feels structured, intentional, and peaceful. You begin to appreciate the lifestyle you're building instead of the lifestyle you wish you had. Finally, lifestyle optimization is about balance. You don't eliminate all enjoyment. You choose the enjoyment that doesn't damage your financial future. You create a life that feels rich without spending like the rich. You upgrade your experiences, not your expenses. And with every intentional choice, you move closer to a future where money supports your lifestyle instead of controlling it. Most people don't realize this, but subscriptions are one of the biggest silent killers of financial freedom. They look harmless, $5 here, $10 there, but over time, they turn into a constant leak that drains your money month after month without you even noticing. And the worst part, companies design them to be invisible. They hide charges, auto-renew without warning, and make canceling harder than signing up. That's exactly why this stage is so important. The subscription purge protocol is the process of taking back control from the quiet expenses that run in the background while you're busy living life. When you think about it, the way we spend money today is completely different from how people spent money 10 or 15 years ago. Back then, most of your expenses were physical. You bought something once and that was it. But now we've moved into a subscription economy. Movies, music, apps, fitness programs, cloud storage, shopping perks, courses, newsletters, everything is built to charge you every month. And because the payments are small and automatic, it feels painless. But painless spending is the most dangerous kind, because you never feel the loss. That if you take a moment and add up your subscriptions, you'll probably be shocked. Most people think they have 4 or 5. In reality, the average person has between 10 and 20 when you count everything. Streaming services, premium apps, gaming subscriptions, delivery memberships, storage upgrades, random trials that kept charging, forgotten platforms you don't log into anymore. It all adds up, and it all quietly steals money every 30 days. The subscription purge protocol starts with bringing all those invisible expenses into the light. The first goal is to know exactly what you're subscribed to, because you can't cut what you can't see. For the first time, you sit down and review every subscription: bank statements, email receipts, app store purchases, everything. It takes time, but the impact is huge. As you scroll through your history, you'll realize how many things you've been paying for without using. Maybe you subscribed for a 7-day free trial and forgot to cancel. Maybe you bought an app for a specific purpose and never touched it again. Maybe you kept 3 streaming apps even though you only watch one. This moment of truth hits hard, but it's also empowering. Because once you see the truth, you finally have the power to act. Something incredible happens when people do this audit for the first time. They often find hundreds of dollars per year being wasted. Some even find the equivalent of a full monthly bill hiding inside unused subscriptions. And canceling them feels like a weight lifting off your shoulders. It's like deleting clutter from your financial life. You feel lighter, clearer, more in control. It's one of the fastest ways to reduce expenses without sacrificing anything you care about. You're not removing joy, you're removing noise. The next step is asking yourself one simple question for every subscription you find: Does this genuinely improve my life in a way that's worth paying for every month? You'll be surprised how often the answer is no. Many subscriptions are emotional purchases. Maybe you were feeling motivated one day so you signed up for a fitness app you didn't commit to. Maybe a show was trending so you bought a streaming service just to watch one series. Maybe a friend recommended an app and you downloaded it thinking it would change your life. But over time, excitement fades while the monthly payment keeps going. This protocol is not about removing everything. It's about removing the unnecessary and keeping only the subscriptions that bring consistent value. If you use something regularly and it genuinely improves your daily life, keep it. But anything you don't use often or don't even remember subscribing to, that's gone. No hesitation. No guilt. You're protecting your future self by eliminating financial waste. Point 1. Powerful trick is grouping your subscriptions by category. Entertainment, productivity, fitness, education, cloud storage, shopping, perks. Once you see them organized, patterns appear. Maybe you have 3 services serving the same purpose. Maybe you're paying for tools you don't need because there's a free alternative. Maybe you have a duplicate subscription across devices. Grouping helps you see where you're overspending without even realizing it. Another part of the subscription purge protocol is something most people never do: checking for price increases. Companies raise prices quietly, hoping you won't notice. And most of us don't. You might be paying double what you originally signed up for and you wouldn't even know. Reviewing your statements exposes these increases instantly. When you find a subscription that raised prices without telling you clearly, that's a sign to cancel immediately. If the company relies on silent price hikes, they don't deserve your money. A powerful trick financially smart people use is rotating subscriptions instead of keeping all of them forever. Instead of having 5 streaming apps at once, they keep one for a month, watch what they want, cancel it, then move to another. This way they enjoy everything without paying for everything at the same time. It's smarter, cheaper, and avoids the trap of letting subscriptions pile up. The same goes for learning platforms, fitness apps, or premium tools. Use them when needed, pause them when not. Most people don't realize they have this power. Another tactic is switching from monthly to yearly, but only for the services you use consistently. Yearly plans are often cheaper, but they should only be used for subscriptions you're 100% sure you'll use. The goal is to save money without locking yourself into something you might not need later. You reduce your long-term cost while keeping the value. The subscription purge protocol also extends beyond apps and entertainment. Some of the biggest recurring expenses in life are things we don't recognize as subscriptions. Gym memberships you don't use. Internet plans that are too expensive for your needs. Phone packages with data you never consume. Insurance add-ons you didn't realize you were paying for. Once you start seeing your expenses through the subscription lens, you realize the system is designed to keep charging you forever unless you actively break the cycle. At the end of this purge, something powerful happens. You look at your account and realize you just freed up money without giving up anything important. Your finances feel cleaner. Your monthly expenses drop instantly. And most importantly, you gain awareness, a sense that you are no longer letting money slip away quietly behind your back. This stage isn't just about saving money. It's about building a mindset of control. It teaches you to question what you pay for, to demand value for your money, and to avoid unconscious spending. And once you learn this skill, you never go back to being someone who lets silent expenses eat away at your financial freedom. You become someone who chooses, someone who decides, someone who takes charge of their financial life. That's what the subscription purge protocol gives you: the power to say, my money works for me now, not the other way around. Most people don't realize this, but grocery stores are one of the easiest places to overspend without noticing. There are no loud notifications, no reminders, no guilt, just small choices that slowly stack up into big monthly bills. And the truth is, overspending on groceries has almost nothing to do with hunger. It has everything to do with psychology, environment, and automatic habits you don't even see happening. That's where the Smart Grocery Blueprint comes in. It's a system designed to help you spend 20% less every month while actually eating better, feeling more organized, and taking control of one of the biggest, most overlooked expenses in your life. The first mindset shift is understanding that grocery stores are not neutral spaces. They're engineered, aisle by aisle, to make you buy more than you planned. From the smell of fresh bakery items, to the bright colors in the snack aisle, to the strategic placement of expensive brands at eye level, every detail is crafted to influence your decisions. Even the way carts are designed encourages larger purchases. People think they're making independent choices, but the store has already paved a psychological path for them. Once you realize this, you stop shopping passively and start shopping intentionally. That begins with something simple: never walking into a store without a list. It sounds basic, but this single habit can save you more money than any coupon, app, or discount ever could. When you shop without a list, your brain relies on impulse and memory. Impulse says, "Oh, this looks good," and memory says, "Maybe I need this." Both lead to overspending. A list eliminates that uncertainty. Gives you a mission. You walk in knowing exactly what you're there to get, and more importantly, you walk out without buying what you don't need. A list is not just a tool, it's a shield against emotional spending. But the list becomes even more powerful when you build it based on meals, not random items. Most people fill their cart with individual products, then get home and realize none of those ingredients actually fit together. That's how food gets wasted, meals get ordered, and money disappears. The smarter way is buying ingredients, not cravings. Instead of writing snacks, drinks, something sweet, you create a plan like chicken with rice and vegetables, or pasta night, or breakfast meal prep. When you think in meals, you buy exactly what you need, no more, no less. You reduce waste, you save money, and you avoid those last-minute takeout nights that destroy your budget. You're not just buying food, you're buying structure. Another trick that transforms grocery spending is the 48-hour rule. This applies to anything that isn't essential: snacks, fancy sauces, limited edition products, premium versions of foods you already have, extra drinks, and all the impulses that sneak into your cart. If you see something you want but don't truly need, you wait 48 hours. If you still want it after 2 days, then you can buy it. What happens in most cases? You forget about it. The craving fades. The temptation disappears. The 48-hour rule protects you from emotional grocery spending, which is one of the biggest budget killers. And speaking of emotional spending, grocery stores intentionally place the most tempting items at the beginning and the end of your shopping path. That's why you see baked goods, snacks, drinks, or high-profit items right at the entrance. When you know this trick, you can avoid it. You don't grab things just because they're close. You only grab what's on the list. This simple awareness saves you money instantly. Another powerful part of the smart grocery blueprint is learning to compare price per unit, not the total price. This is where most people get tricked. A big bottle might look more expensive, but the cost per liter is actually cheaper. A small pack of cheese might seem affordable, but the cost per gram might be double. Grocery stores rely on customers not doing the math. When you switch your mindset to price per unit, you instantly start choosing smarter. It's like unlocking a cheat code. Suddenly you understand which items are genuinely good deals and which ones are marketing traps. You also start optimizing your grocery routine by avoiding midweek emotional shopping trips. This is where most people overspend. They go in for one item like bread or milk, and come out with 5 extra things they didn't plan for. The solution is batch shopping. You shop once per week or once every 10 days with a planned list. The fewer trips you make, the fewer impulses you fall into. And each trip becomes efficient. You know what you're getting and why. Another silent money leak is buying pre-cut or pre-packaged items. Pre-cut fruit, pre-shredded cheese, and pre-washed salads, they're convenient, but you're paying extra for that convenience. Sometimes double or triple the price. When you switch to whole versions of those foods, you save money and usually get fresher products. You also end up cooking more, which improves your health and reduces takeout spending. Meal prep also plays a huge role in saving money. When you prepare food in batches, like cooking grains, proteins, and vegetables for several meals, you reduce the temptation to order out. When your future self has healthy, ready-made options in the fridge, it becomes easier to stick to your budget. You're not saving money by restricting yourself. You're saving money by making smarter choices easier. One thing people never think about is sticking to the outer aisles. Most grocery stores place whole foods, produce, meats, dairy around the perimeter, while the inner aisles contain processed, high-profit items. When you do most of your shopping around the perimeter, you naturally buy healthier and cheaper foods. More ingredients, fewer snacks. More nourishment, less marketing. Another tip is to buy store brands whenever possible. The truth is, store brands often come from the same factories as name brands, they just have different packaging. Yet store brands can be 20 to 40% cheaper. When you stop paying for labels and start paying for actual food, you instantly save money without changing the quality of your meals. And finally, the most important mindset shift: grocery spending is not about how much you buy, it's about how much you waste. If you throw away food every week, that means you're buying more than you use. When you start tracking what goes to waste, you learn to buy smarter. You buy less perishable food. You plan meals based on what you already have. You use leftovers creatively. Waste reduction equals money saved. At the end of this blueprint, your grocery shopping becomes strategic instead of emotional. You spend with purpose, not impulse. You save money without sacrificing quality. You eat healthier without spending more. You feel in control instead of reacting to cravings or marketing tricks. And the best part, this system compounds. Once you master grocery spending, your monthly budget starts to breathe. You have more room for savings, investing, or experiences that truly matter. You gain clarity, stability, and freedom one smart grocery trip at a time. Most people try to save money by cutting small things like coffee, snacks, or entertainment, but the truth is, those things barely move the needle. The real financial transformation happens when you attack the big three expenses: rent, food, and transportation. These three categories alone can consume 60 to 75% of your monthly income, and if you reduce them even slightly, your savings rate explodes. This is the part of your financial journey where smart decisions compound in a way that coffee cutting never could. And the best part? You don't have to downgrade your lifestyle. You upgrade your strategy instead. Let's start with rent, because for most people it is the single largest expense they pay each month. Rent drains your income silently, because it's not just a payment, it's a percentage of your life. If your rent is swallowing 35 to 45% of your income, you will always feel like you're catching up. But once you bring that number down to 25 to 30%, everything changes. You suddenly feel like you're earning more without actually earning more. And contrary to what people think, lowering rent doesn't mean moving into a worse place. It means using smarter tactics. The people who win in this category are the people who negotiate, compare, time the market, and look for creative options. The first strategy is negotiation. Most renters never negotiate their rent because they assume the price is fixed. It isn't. Landlords value stable, long-term tenants far more than squeezing out an extra $50 a month. If you've been a good tenant, never missed payments, and maintained your place well, you have leverage. The key is timing. You negotiate 60 to 90 days before renewal, not after. That's when landlords worry about vacancies and lost months. A single conversation can save you $600 to $1,200 per year. But almost nobody asks. You can also negotiate repair credits, early renewal discounts, lease extension incentives, or switch to a longer-term lease to lower the rate. All of this reduces rent without requiring you to change where you live. The second strategy is optimization. Many people live in spaces that are bigger than they actually use. A spare room that sits empty 28 days a month is a luxury you quietly pay thousands for. If you're not using that room for work, storage, or productivity, it's dead space. You can optimize by downsizing, co-living, renting a studio instead of a one-bedroom, or renting a place slightly outside the hotspot area where prices drop dramatically. A 10-minute shift in location can save hundreds per month. And when done strategically, it doesn't lower your lifestyle, it improves it by removing financial pressure. An optimized living situation makes your long-term financial plan easier, faster, and more sustainable. The third strategy is monetization. Your home can become an asset instead of an expense. Renting a storage space, subletting a room, hosting short-stay guests occasionally, or renting a parking spot are ways people reduce or even eliminate their housing cost. The 1% understand this deeply. Never let your biggest expenses remain one-directional. Always find ways to turn them into opportunities. Now let's move to food, the silent money leak. Food is emotional, social, and impulsive. That combination makes it one of the easiest ways to overspend without realizing it. The average person doesn't overspend because food is expensive, they overspend because food decisions are unplanned. Supermarkets are designed to make you buy more than you came for. Restaurants are designed to increase your bill with add-ons, drinks, and upsells. Food delivery apps are designed to turn convenience into constant spending. If you don't have a system, you will overspend, no matter how disciplined you think you are. The key to winning this category is building a food plan that matches your real lifestyle. Not a strict diet, not a complicated meal prep routine, a realistic plan based on how you actually eat. The biggest shift happens when you understand that groceries should always come before cravings. Groceries are planned, cravings are emotional. When you shop based on cravings, you overspend. When you shop based on meals, you save. The most effective technique is the weekly blueprint. Spend 10 minutes mapping out the meals you'll realistically eat, not ideal meals, not social media recipes, realistic meals. Then build a grocery list based solely on ingredients, not snacks. When you walk into a store with a list, you walk out with a budget. When you walk in without a list, you walk out with regret. The second strategy is creating default meals. These are simple, cheap, go-to meals you can cook in 10 to 15 minutes instead of ordering delivery. Every time you replace one delivery order with one default meal, you save $8 to $20. Multiply that by a month and the savings become enormous. Another powerful strategy is bulk ingredient shopping. Not bulk snacks, bulk ingredients. Rice, pasta, beans, frozen vegetables, proteins, sauces, ingredients that give you flexibility and reduce repeated spending. Most people buy small quantities frequently, which increases cost. Buying essentials in bulk cuts your monthly food cost by 15 to 20% automatically. And one more high-impact trick: compare price per unit, not price per item. Stores often trick buyers with sale labels that are actually more expensive per gram or per liter. When you shift your attention to unit pricing, you spend less without sacrificing quality. Now let's attack transportation, the third giant category that drains far more money than people realize. Transportation isn't just fuel or tickets. It includes maintenance, insurance, depreciation, parking fees, repairs, breakdowns, car washes, and time. Many people don't realize they're spending 30 to 50% more per month than they think. The key to winning this category is understanding that transportation is a trap when used emotionally and a tool when used strategically. For car owners, the biggest cost isn't fuel, it's depreciation. Your car loses value every month, whether you drive it or not. That's why the smartest people choose cars based on reliability and operating cost, not their appearance. Choosing a reliable car over a luxury badge can save thousands every year. Regular maintenance prevents major repairs. Routine checks reduce emergencies. Insurance comparisons reduce premiums. A well-managed car becomes an affordable tool instead of a financial burden. For non-car owners, the mistake is relying too heavily on premium transportation options, daily rideshare trips, taxis, or high-cost routes. These add up extremely fast. A rideshare used twice daily can cost more than owning a car. But with planning, choosing efficient routes, using transport passes, cycling short distances, or mixing transport types, you can cut a huge portion of costs without sacrificing convenience. The ultimate strategy for transportation is combining trips and planning routes. The less you move, the less you spend. Doing errands in clusters, working remotely when possible, or choosing nearby entertainment options cuts transportation costs effortlessly. When you plan your movement intentionally, you save automatically. The power of attacking the big three is that every improvement multiplies. Lower rent increases your margin. Smarter food planning removes waste. Efficient transportation reduces stress and cost. Together, they create a financial breakthrough that small savings can never compete with. This is the moment where your entire financial life shifts. You stop cutting pennies and start reclaiming dollars. Imagine this: every month you work hard, earn money, feel motivated, yet the moment your income arrives, it somehow slips away. Not because you're irresponsible, not because you're bad with money, but because you don't have protection around your finances. This is where most people lose, not through big mistakes, but through a lack of boundaries. A lack of a firewall. A lack of a layer between their income and the temptations that drain it. A money firewall is the personal defense system that the financially successful use without even thinking about it. It's the invisible shield that blocks emotional spending, impulse buying, late-night scrolling purchases, and "I'll just buy it because I deserve it" moments. The top 1% don't rely on discipline. They rely on systems that make discipline automatic. They don't make daily decisions about whether to save or spend, they build structures that make saving the default and overspending difficult. This firewall begins the moment your income arrives. If your money is landing in a single account, where bills, spending, savings, and random purchases all mix together, your financial life is already at risk. It's like leaving the front door wide open and hoping thieves don't walk in. The first layer of your firewall is separation. Money must have specific homes, specific purposes, and specific boundaries. When everything is mixed, every financial choice feels emotional. When things are separated, every choice becomes objective. So your income hits your bank. Before you even see it, before you even touch it, the firewall activates. A percentage automatically moves into your savings. Another percentage goes into your bills account. A small portion is assigned for guilt-free spending. When this is automated, your brain is no longer part of the process. You're protected from yourself. You're protected from your impulses. You've removed the number one reason people overspend: easy access. Most people lose money because they can reach it in 2 seconds. The firewall solves this. You put friction between you and impulsive financial decisions. You make it slightly harder to spend on things that don't matter and extremely easy to save. You might be shocked how powerful a little bit of friction really is. A separate bank for savings. A 24-hour waiting period before any purchase over a certain amount. Turning off one-click checkout. Removing all saved cards from websites. These are not limitations. These are protections. This is how you build a life where your future is secure without feeling restricted today. Once the automatic structure is in place, the next layer of the firewall is identity protection, not from hackers but from yourself. You become the type of person who protects their money instead of letting it leak. People think overspending is a money issue. It's not. It's an identity issue. If you see yourself as someone who is bad with money, your brain will find ways to prove that true. If you see yourself as someone who values growth, stability, and smart choices, your decisions start matching that identity. The firewall reinforces that identity. Every automated transfer is a vote for your future. Every blocked impulse purchase is a reminder that you're using money with intention. Every bill paid on time proves you're in control. You start trusting yourself, and when you trust yourself, managing money becomes much easier. Fear goes down. Confidence rises. And when confidence rises, you start making better financial decisions naturally. Another layer of the firewall is removing temptation before it becomes a problem. Unfollow accounts that make you feel like you need to buy something to keep up. Turn off marketing notifications. Delete apps that encourage emotional shopping. The world is designed to make you spend. Advertisers study your behavior, track your habits, and use psychology to hit you at the exact moment you're vulnerable. A money firewall protects you from those psychological attacks. For example, if you know that late-night shopping is your weakness, your firewall could be a rule: no financial decisions after 8 p.m. If you know sales tempt you, your firewall could be: never buy something just because it's discounted. If you know that food delivery is draining your money, your firewall could be: delete delivery apps until Friday night only. These tiny barriers save you from emotional choices that sabotage long-term progress. Your firewall also includes pre-deciding how you respond to financial triggers. When you feel stressed, tired, or bored, you shouldn't be improvising with your wallet. You need replacements ready. A walk instead of scrolling. A homemade snack instead of ordering out. A YouTube tutorial instead of buying another course. Emotional spending isn't about money, it's about soothing discomfort. When you can soothe without spending, your savings explode. The next layer is what I call the future win rule. Before any purchase, ask, will my future self thank me for this? If the answer is no or unclear, wait. This alone eliminates 60 to 70% of unnecessary spending. Most purchases feel good now but feel like regret later. Your firewall interrupts that short-term pleasure loop and asks you to think ahead. Successful people think long-term, not in years but in micro-decisions. Every small decision builds momentum toward your goals or away from them. The final layer of your firewall is accountability. Not shame, not guilt, but awareness. A weekly 10-minute check-in with yourself to review your expenses and see what slipped through. Not to punish yourself but to strengthen your defense. You'll notice patterns. You'll understand yourself better. And every week you get tighter, sharper, more aware. When a money firewall is in place, everything changes. Saving becomes effortless. Bills become predictable. Lifestyle becomes smoother. Stress drops. Confidence rises. You feel in control instead of overwhelmed. And you can finally enjoy your money without guilt, because you know that your future is protected. Most people think the financially successful are smarter, luckier, or born with advantages. But the truth is simpler. They built systems that protect their money even on their worst days. They built firewalls that work when motivation fails. They built structures that let their money grow even when life gets messy. You can do the same. You don't need more income, just better protection around the income you already have. When your firewall is strong, your money becomes harder to lose, easier to grow, and nearly impossible to waste. And once you reach that level of control, your financial life transforms, not because of giant changes, but because you finally built the shield that guards your future. Most people want to save more, but they never do, not because they're irresponsible but because they rely on willpower. And willpower is the weakest tool in personal finance. It works when you're motivated, when the day is going well, when you're feeling strong. But the moment stress hits, the moment temptation appears, the moment life gets busy, your savings plan collapses. That's why the top 1% don't depend on motivation. They depend on automation. And the most powerful automation strategy they use is the 30% savings hack. This strategy flips your financial life completely. Instead of saving whatever is left, you save first and live on the rest. This single shift is the difference between people who build wealth and people who stay stuck for years. Because when you automate savings, your brain stops being part of the battle. The decision is already made. The money moves before you see it, before you feel it, before emotions can interfere. Imagine this. You wake up on payday. Before you even roll out of bed, 30% of your income has already moved. It split itself into 3 different accounts, each with its own clear purpose. One part went to long-term savings. Another part went to your growth fund. Another part went to your emergency protection. You didn't do anything. You didn't touch a button. You didn't think about it. Your future just became stronger while you slept. This is the core of the 30% automation hack. Make saving effortless by letting systems do the work. When you try to manually save money, you're fighting against your instincts. Humans are built for comfort now, not comfort later. So depending on discipline is a losing strategy. But when saving happens automatically, your comfort today doesn't matter. Your protection for tomorrow remains intact. The first part of the system is timing. Most people automate savings at the end of the month, after bills, after spending, after living. But the successful automate at the beginning the moment income hits. This one change increases savings success by nearly 300%. Because money you never see feels easier to part with. It never becomes emotional. It never feels like sacrifice. Your lifestyle simply adapts to what remains and you don't even notice the difference. The next part is separation. You can't put all your savings into a single account. That's too easy to dip into. Too tempting. Too accessible. The 30% hack divides your savings into 3 categories. A portion goes to your emergency safety fund, the money that protects you from unexpected trouble. Another portion goes to long-term growth investments, future opportunities, your wealth engine. And the final part goes to plan goals, travel, big purchases, future experiences. You protect your future while still reserving space for enjoyment. The reason this works so well is because it aligns with human psychology. When saving feels like punishment, people quit. But when saving is split into different future rewards, it becomes enjoyable. It feels like building something, not losing something. You're not restricting your life, you're upgrading it. People often think they can't save 30%. They say things like, my expenses are too high, or, I don't earn enough. But that's exactly why automation works. When something feels big or impossible, you break it down. You start with 5%, then 10%, then 15%, and before you realize it, 30% becomes normal. Your lifestyle shifts gradually and naturally because you're never making a drastic cut at once. You're just building a new standard step by step. The key to this entire system is trusting the process, trusting that even if life feels tight today, your future will thank you. Most people don't trust themselves with money. That's why automation is so powerful. It removes the need for trust. It removes the need for strength. The system handles everything. Once your 30% automation is active, your financial stress starts to melt. Bills become easier. Unexpected costs become manageable. Your bank starts growing even on months when you don't feel like you're trying. And slowly something changes inside you. You start seeing yourself as someone who is building wealth. Someone who is in control. Someone who is moving forward. This identity shift is the most underrated part of the hack. When you see consistent savings grow every month, you start treating money differently. You become calmer. You stop chasing small pleasures that disappear within seconds and start caring about stability. You stop thinking like a spender and start thinking like an investor. This single shift changes everything. Another powerful advantage of this automation is that it protects you from impulsive decisions. When money is sitting in your main account, it feels available. It whispers in your ear. Tempts you. Automation removes that temptation. Your spending account only holds what you're meant to use. Your savings accounts are elsewhere, harder to reach, and mentally off limits. You've created a structure that even your impulses can't easily break. And here's the real secret. Once automation is in place, your income begins to feel different. Instead of disappearing, it starts working for you. Every month, the amount in your savings increases. Every month, your sense of safety increases. Every month, your financial life becomes less chaotic. And once this happens, you begin to experience something most people never feel: financial momentum. Saving gets easier. You start skipping small wasteful purchases because they don't align with your new identity. You think twice before buying something you don't need. Not because of discipline, but because your system has rewired your habits. This is why the top 1% swear by automation. They understand that freedom doesn't come from earning more, it comes from controlling what you keep. You could double your income, but without automation you'll still feel broke. You could get the best job in the world, and money will still leak if you don't have a system guarding it. Automation is the equalizer. It works for high income, low income, inconsistent income. It works for anyone who wants their financial life to rise instead of fall. The most beautiful part of this hack is that you only set it up once. After that, it runs forever. You can improve it, adjust it, expand it, but the foundation stays strong. It becomes your financial autopilot, a quiet engine working behind the scenes to protect your future. Imagine your life 1 year from now with this system active. Your savings account is healthier. Your emergency fund is nearly complete. Your long-term investments have grown. Your stress is lower. Your confidence is higher. You finally feel like someone who is not just surviving month to month, but building something real. That feeling isn't luck. It isn't magic. It's automation. It's the result of a simple, powerful decision to let systems handle your future instead of chaos. Most people believe that saving money automatically means living a smaller life. They imagine restrictions, cutting back all pleasures, saying no to everything fun, and forcing themselves into a boring, limited routine. But that belief is the biggest lie holding people back. Because the truth is the opposite. When you manage your money intentionally, you don't shrink your lifestyle, you expand it. You upgrade it. You gain freedom, not restriction. The lifestyle freedom upgrade is the final transformation that happens after you've cleaned your expenses, audited your habits, automated your savings, and built your financial awareness. It's the stage where your life starts feeling easier, calmer, and more enjoyable even while you're spending less than ever before. This upgrade doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you finally understand what gives you real value. You've removed the noise and kept the things that truly matter. You no longer spend out of stress, boredom, comparison, or impulse. You spend intentionally, strategically, and with clarity. And suddenly, the things you buy feel better. The experiences you enjoy feel richer. The life you live feels bigger even though your costs are smaller. Point one of the first signs of this upgrade is that you begin to notice how little you truly need to feel satisfied. So much of modern spending comes from trying to fill emotional gaps or escape stress. When you fix the root behaviors and earlier acts, those impulses fade away. You stop chasing temporary pleasures because you no longer need them. You're no longer trying to impress anyone or keep up with people who aren't thinking about your future. You're not buying things to distract yourself, you're choosing things that enhance your life. This is where real lifestyle freedom begins. Because now your decisions come from strength, not pressure. You start choosing experiences that give you energy rather than things that drain you. You shift from mindless consumption to meaningful enjoyment. A simple outing with friends feels more fulfilling than expensive purchases. Cooking at home becomes a pleasure, not a chore. Walking outside, reading, learning, creating, socializing, these things start to feel richer than any shopping trip ever did. You realize how much of your old life was built around habits you never questioned. When money was tight or unclear, stress drove your choices. Now clarity leads your choices. And clarity is freedom. This stage also brings a new relationship with comfort. Before, comfort almost always meant spending ordering food, grabbing coffee, buying something to feel better. Now comfort comes from knowing your money is under control. There is a deep peace in knowing that your bills are covered, your future is protected, and your savings are growing automatically. That sense of stability becomes more satisfying than anything money could buy quickly. With this stability, you start to upgrade the parts of life that matter most. Instead of spending randomly, you spend intentionally. You allocate money based on your priorities. And because waste is gone, you have more space to fund what truly improves your life. Maybe you invest in your health gym membership, better food choices, supplements, routines that make you stronger. Maybe you upgrade your skills, books, courses, tools that help you earn more. Maybe you enhance your environment, cleaner spaces, simpler furniture, fewer distractions, more peace. Every upgrade feels meaningful because it directly improves your quality of life. This shift is powerful because it changes your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who builds, someone who chooses, someone who creates the life they want. And this identity builds momentum. It pushes you to continue improving your habits, upgrading your environment, strengthening your routines, and protecting your future. Lifestyle freedom also comes from removing financial pressure. The weight that used to sit on your mind every day begins to disappear. You stop feeling nervous before opening your banking app. You no longer live month to month. You don't fear unexpected expenses the way you used to. Every part of your life becomes lighter. And as life becomes lighter, you start to see opportunities everywhere because your mind is no longer clouded by financial stress. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. You say yes to chances you would have ignored before because now you have the stability to take risks. This is where your lifestyle truly expands. Instead of cutting back to the bare minimum, you learn to use your resources wisely so you can experience more. Since waste is gone, your budget gains room for fun. Not reckless fun, strategic fun. Fun that enhances your life, not drains it. You choose better vacations over random shopping, better experiences over meaningless purchases, better connections over temporary distractions. Another shift happens in how you see time. Before, time was something you tried to escape from, filling it with entertainment and consumption. Now time feels valuable. You use it intentionally. You enjoy slow moments. You spend more time on things that develop you: exercise, planning, learning, creating, connecting. Your life feels fuller because your time has purpose. At this stage, You also begin to recognize the difference between living rich and looking rich. Looking rich costs money. Living rich comes from stability, peace, and control. When you no longer care about impressing others, your spending aligns with your values. You stop chasing things that don't matter. And suddenly you have more space financially, mentally, emotionally to invest in what does matter. Lifestyle freedom isn't about cutting out joy. It's about removing the noise so you can feel joy more deeply. It's about choosing what makes your life better without draining your bank account. It's about creating a balanced, intentional life where your habits, finances, and goals support each other. You notice that the people around you start reacting differently too. They see your calmness, your discipline, your stability. They notice how you make better choices, how you spend smart without feeling restricted, how you enjoy life without overspending. People begin asking how you're doing it because lifestyle freedom is visible. It radiates, your confidence increases. Your self-control strengthens. Your daily decisions feel lighter and clearer. You stop buying things to escape your life and start designing a life you don't need to escape from. That is the real upgrade. The final change that happens in this stage is long-term vision. You start thinking beyond weeks and months. You plan for years. You start thinking about investments, future milestones, major goals, and the kind of life you want to experience a decade from now. Your mind shifts from survival mode to growth mode. And once you enter growth mode, your life begins to rise automatically. By the time you reach this stage, spending less doesn't feel like a sacrifice. Feels like power. Saving money doesn't feel like restriction. Feels like freedom. You realize that the best version of your lifestyle was never about having more, it was about using what you have with purpose. This is lifestyle freedom. Living better while spending less. Creating a life you love without burning your wallet. Choosing meaning over impulse. Choosing clarity over chaos. Choosing future strength over temporary pleasure. This is the final transformation. Your expenses are cleaner, your savings are automatic, your habits are aligned, and your life finally feels like yours.